The Squab Giraffe Tale. A very big place was reserved for giraffes in the zoo, which was in Gulhane Park. There lived a mother and a father giraffe with their 2 children. They were walking with a swaying movement all day long, and the visitors were watching them. The mother and the father giraffes had been living in that place for a very long time, so that they got used to living there and they didn't complain about it, but their children were bored and they always asked their father, "How long are we going to live here? When are you going to take us to the places that you have told us in the fairy tales?" One day one of his children asked him, "Daddy, how did we come here? Who took us here?" Then the father giraffe decided to tell his children the story of their grandfather who lived very far away from there, so that they could be able to understand how they ended up in that place. And he started. "All the giraffes are very tall and have long necks, but your grandfather was very short when he was born. As the years passed away he became older, but he could not get taller, and as he got older the desire to be a star in a circus grew more and more in his heart. He did not want to live in that place, and being an ordinary giraffe was not proper for him. So he started to organize shows in the wood where he lived to achieve his goal. All the animals living in that wood were interested in his shows and watched his imitations of different animals happily. One day hunters came to that wood. They were there to catch some animals and take them to a zoo. While they were watching around with their binoculars on a hill, they saw the Squab Giraffe making his show. When they saw his admirable acting and excellent show, they thought that he was a marvelous juggler, so they decided to catch him. After the show they started to follow him secretly. The Squab Giraffe was not surprised, because he knew that to be successful there were some difficulties that he had to struggle with. He thought in details about what he should do to dispose of those hunters and made a very brilliant plan. He knew that if he did something without planning it he would have some difficulties and would be caught by the hunters easily. It was impossible to understand what the hunters' intention was and how they were planning to catch him. The next day the hunters pinched him near a reed bed. While the hunters were moving ahead they were so happy because they were sure of catching him, as there was nowhere for him to run away. When they found out that he disappeared, they could not believe their eyes. They realized that the footprints of the Squab Giraffe disappeared near the reed bed. In fact, this was a part of the giraffe's plan. He escaped from there by getting on a trunk of a tree which he had hidden there the day before. The following day he could hear the hunters saying that if he was caught, he was going to be taken to a zoo. After hearing this conversation he became so happy that he appeared jigging up and down on his 4 feet. Then he howled like a wolf and roared like a lion. The hunters were shocked when they saw him doing such things and behaving like a fool. After that the Squab Giraffe started doing all the tricks that he knew one after another and finished his show. The hunters liked his show very much, so that they applauded him. When he was taken to the zoo, he started living here where we live now. But he continued making his shows in his new home. In the meantime my mother and he fell in love. After a time I was born. When I was a little giraffe I remember that a lot of people were coming here to see him and to watch his shows. He was making his shows all day long without getting tired. By the way, an international circus used to come here on certain dates of each year. Once while the circus was being established here the owner of it started walking around the zoo. When he saw the crowd he what was happening there, so he smuggled into the crowd. After watching the Squab Giraffe making his show he understood that he was very talented and could become a world-famous star, so he gave him lots of money to transfer him to his circus. The Squab Giraffe put this opportunity into good use, and after a few rehearsals he appeared on the stage. He was so successful that the number of people who came to the circus increased suddenly. The circus used to stay for 10 days wherever it was established, and there used to be only one show during the day. After the small giraffe started working there, this changed, and 4 or 5 shows a day were being made, and that year the circus stayed in the zoo for a month. The next year when the circus came here, my father visited us. He was here to see my mother and me and his friends. We were very happy. We were together for about 2 hours. He told us that he had been to a lot of countries making shows and attracted attention of everybody. He wanted to become a star in a circus, and he did his best for this, and finally he achieved his goal. He was so happy. Did you understand how we came here to this place? Yes, Daddy, we did. We got it very well, the children replied all together, and they looked at each other smiling. There is an undeniable truth that there is nothing which cannot be done if you want to do it so much. Nothing or nobody can stop you. You might have some dreams of your own, or you would like to be as successful as somebody you admire. There is nothing to stop you, so you should go for it. The little giraffes followed their grandfather's footsteps and became very successful circus stars. If you look at the sky very carefully at night, you can see them blinking you.